Dear fellow scholars, welcome to this new episode. Today, we are going to talk about AI versus humans. Have we lost the battle? Now, wait a second. Did I just say we are going to lose the battle? Yes, that is exactly what I said, but it's not as bad as it sounds. So, stick around and let me explain. You see, every time a new tool appeared in human history, there were plenty of people who thought that this is it. This will be the end of us. For instance, when writing appeared, many people thought that this is it. It is too powerful. Who needs to remember everything by heart and do complicated calculations in their head if you can just write things down on a piece of paper? This is it. We won't be needed anymore. And then they disappeared from the face of the earth. At least that's how the legend goes. Of course, writing did change the world, but it didn't make these people obsolete. They simply adapted and learned to use the new tool, and even more importantly, they used the new tool to augment their own abilities. They wrote down the things they remembered so that they don't have to carry that burden in their heads anymore. They created paper to store these memories and then printing presses to reproduce them. And with that, books, libraries, Wikipedia, and ChatGPT. And today, thanks to computers, we can even program these artificial minds that can roam the digital world and help us in our everyday life. But now hold on to your papers, fellow scholars, because according to some estimates, there are more than 35 trillion parameters in the latest GPT-4 model. What is that? Well, these are the knobs and dials that the algorithm can turn to perform its calculations. And yes, that is a lot of numbers, but humans have roughly 86 billion neurons in their brain, and each neuron has about 1,000 synapses. These are the points where neurons connect to each other, so that gives us a rough estimate of about 86 trillion. So the latest AI models have roughly the same number of parameters as the human brain has synapses. Now, so is this it? Has AI finally reached human-level intelligence? Not quite yet. You see, GPT-4 has shown an incredible performance across many different tasks. It can help us write better text, generate beautiful images, answer our questions, and even help us debug our code. But something is still missing, and I'll tell you all about it right after. You see, humans are good at dealing with new situations. If you bring a cat into a house that has previously never seen a cat before, the cat will chase its tail and generally have a great time. And what does the dog do? Well, the dog doesn't know what to make of this new creature. Is it prey? Is it predator? Is it friend or foe? The dog will bark a few times, maybe chase it a little bit until it figures out what to do. In other words, humans and animals are capable of generalizing their knowledge to new situations. This is not so easy as it sounds. For instance, if you have never seen a bird before, but you see a penguin waddling on the street, even though you have never seen a penguin before, you will still recognize that this is a bird. Why? Because it walks like the birds you have seen before, like a pigeon or a blue jay. It has feathers like them, and it also has wings. Of course, the penguin has wings, but a bird doesn't necessarily need to fly. A penguin is a special kind of bird, a flightless bird. You see, even though penguins and airplanes look very different, you will still recognize that an airplane is a bird if you have seen enough birds. So the ability to generalize is incredibly useful. And now for the punchline. Today, the latest AI models still struggle with this task. That is, they cannot yet generalize well enough. This means that they are still not as smart as you are. I know that this might come as a surprise since they are already so good at so many tasks, but this is still true. For instance, they are great at answering questions that have a factual basis. If you ask them, "What is the capital of France?" they will answer that it is Paris. But they will also confidently claim that the moon landings were fake, even though there is overwhelming evidence that they are not. And here is why. You see, when we humans learn something, we learn the general principles first. That is, we learn why the sky is blue or why leaves turn red in the fall. But then we memorize the exceptions to these rules. For instance, in England, the Speaker of the House is not allowed to speak. We learn this by heart because there is no way we could keep track of all the possible exceptions to the rule. So instead, we memorize the exceptions. This allows us to deal with new situations and also allows us to come up with creative solutions. To understand how this works, let's look at the following example. We show a child 3 cards. One card has a dog on it, one has a bird, and one has a plane. Now we ask the child which one is a bird, and we get the correct answer. Then we show the child another card and ask the same question. This time it has a helicopter on it. Now most children will correctly identify that this is a bird. They have learned the general concept, but now hold onto your papers, fellow scholars, because here comes the test. We show them a card with a squirrel on it, and we ask them, which one is a bird? Now most children will correctly identify that the squirrel is not a bird. They haven't memorized the squirrel as an exception to the bird rule. This is where things get difficult for AI systems. Typically, they would first memorize the cases that they have been trained on. So they would memorize that dogs are not birds, planes are birds, and helicopters are birds. But if we now ask them about the squirrel, they wouldn't know what to do. They might say that the squirrel is a bird because they have seen examples for that, or they might say that it is not a bird because they have seen examples for that. It all depends on what they have seen during training. They have no concept of birds. Now hold on to your papers because we can actually do better than that. Let's try this again. This time we show them 2 cards. One has a dog on it and the other has a bird. Then we ask them which one is a bird. So far so good. Most children will pick the bird. Then we show them a card with a plane on it, and we ask them which one is a bird. Again, most children will pick the plane. But now we show them a card with a hot air balloon on it and ask the same question. Now most children will pick the plane and the hot air balloon and identify that neither of these is a bird. And this is where things get really tricky for AI systems because this time they need to come up with a new concept based on the previous knowledge that they have. And this is where AI still struggles with. This is called common sense reasoning, and it is a holy grail of AI research. Researchers are working on this problem for decades, and I hope that one day AI systems will be able to master this. But until then, we are safe. And just to be clear, this is not an argument against using AI. On the contrary, AI is an amazing tool and I love it. It helps me write better text and generate beautiful images. And I am sure that in the future it will help us in so many more ways. And I can't wait to see what the future brings. What do you think? What are you afraid of, and what are you excited about regarding AI? Please let me know in the comments below. You see, I am convinced that the future will be bright and that AI will help us make the world a better place. But what I am worried about is whether we will be able to wield these new tools responsibly. AI is an incredibly powerful technology, and it is our responsibility to make sure that it is used for good. Thanks for watching and for your generous support, and I'll see you next time.